A lot has
Thank
been
you.
said at this COP26 meeting. What were your main takeaways, especially as somebody who is very, very much involved with gas, which is, of course, seen as being far cleaner than coal?
Well, I think the focus of the government is very clear in India that they are pushing towards cleaner energy, be it natural gas, be it solar, etc. And you've seen big announcements by big industrial houses in India getting into clean energy. So I know it's a difficult target, but I think with the right policies in place, it is possible.
Absolutely. You know, you're making this transition, of course, with this pledge to be net zero by 2070. Now, the near-term goal is actually to increase the share of non-fossil in energy, the energy mix in India, to something like 50%. How does that dovetail into your industry?
Well, I think it's both complement each other because India's energy demand is rising year on year. You can see it in the normal petrol and diesel, in natural gas. We are seeing it in our business, any hydrocarbon. So the incremental demand, I think, will be shared more with the, non-fossil and fossil. I think that percentage will change, but the growth in both will continue because, with 1.3 billion people, you cannot satisfy with one or the other.
Talk to us about the energy mix. When it comes to natural gas, how will that play out? What percentage will that be maybe in terms of 5-10 years down the road?
Well, currently it's very low. It's only about 6% odd. The government's target is to take it to 15%, which I think they have implemented the correct policies which have been announced. They have filtered down on the ground mostly, and the reason I say mostly is because there is still some tweaks that need to be done and actually be implemented. Once that is done, I think investments in natural wells will go up. There was a big discovery of Reliance and BP that just happened, which has increased the domestic production. I think there are a few more on the line which would come through. And I think with the right marketing with the prices which they have now announced that it will be free market, I think that is the biggest hurdle that was faced by producers earlier, that free marketing was not there, right, even though it was. So now that in the new policy it is completely free market, that's a big plus. It's all on revenue sharing contracts. Most of the approvals are on self-certification basis, but more needs to be done, and which I think the government is proactive, especially this government. And they just basically want that you bid, you win, you comply with the bid terms, and that's it. So I think if that kind of trickles down, which it is, there'll be a big boost in investments in natural gas.
I'm just wondering how achievable the targets are. We know that India wants gas to be about 15% of its energy mix by 2030. How challenging would that be? What would it take?
Well, two things. One, any sort of artificial price caps need to be removed. Whether it's old gas or new gas, it doesn't matter. This is, these are molecules and heat that we are selling. Second, especially under revenue sharing contracts, all approvals should be only on self-certification basis, and the government is happy, we are more than happy for anybody to come and audit and check, etc. Because what happens is there are sometimes, India used to be on a cost recovery regime till a decade or 15 years ago. So there was a government interest because there was people would recover costs, so hence they had to check. Now in revenue share, there's nothing. It's completely my risk. What I spend, whether I spend $100 or $100 million, doesn't matter. So I think but as I said, that process has been implemented and it is getting more and more. So one is that, and one is, some gas is still under controlled pricing. When that is eased out, it'll bring in a lot of investments.
Speaking of prices, what's the outlook for gas prices, given that the current prices don't take into account the increase in the international market?
Well, India has sort of three prices. One is the domestic gas, which is, again, low $2.9, which it has been fixed. One is from the offshore, which is at 6.13. And one is the third price, which is free market price, which, like, we are selling at $10 or, $10, $11 is being sold at. Third, LNG, which is the weighted average price for this year is already $11.5. Current pricing of LNG is about $13.5. So it's this is a disparity of prices that I'm talking about. So I think if everything, prices will remain very strong. City gas, piped natural gas is being sold at $15 to $20 easily. Industrial gas, to some industrial units are buying gas at $15 to $20. So there is a demand at that price, and it is viable. So my take is always market price means market price. Let the market decide. It depends on demand and supply. Like what happened in the US. You were at $11 a decade ago. Shale happened. It dropped to $1 or $2 because supply increased, demand was not there.